Hey everybody, John here from Thrive. It's great to have you here for the podcast. Really diving into some real topics that I'm really passionate about, and I know can have a big impact on people's quality of life and the length of their life. No more so than the connection and the importance of brain and gut health, and the connection between the two. We often hear about the gut health being, and our gut being our second brain. And it's very, very prevalent, and it's very, very important that we start to understand the importance of looking after our gut health, that will have a direct effect on our brain health. It's really important. And there are hugely empowering things that we can do around nutrition, daily habits such as sleep and things like that, and also exercise that can have a huge effect on our gut health and therefore our brain health, and really have an effect on the quality of our life. And I think people need to start to realize, with better information out there, the connection between, what we do with food and the quality of food, and what we do with our lives, and how that can really impact the quality of our life. So in this episode, we're going to go into three areas. First of all, we're going to look at the nutritional aspect and the changes that you can make to your nutrition, and things you can start to bring in that are going to have a quality effect on the gut and your particularly large intestine as well. And also, therefore, a connection and a positive effect onto your brain. We're also going to look at certain lifestyle habits and things that we can change and implement that are going to have an effect, and also the training methodologies that are really going to support you moving forwards and what are going to help you to improve gut, brain health, and quality of life. So let's get into it. Now, you've probably heard of the brain and gut connection many times before, but what actually is this? Okay. And it's something, what we're talking about here essentially is the autonomic nervous system. And this is your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system. Now, not to get too technical here, but basically, your sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight. Now, this is important because we use this as we were evolving to stay alive, to hunt, to get out of danger, to make sure that we look for safe ground, removed ourselves out of situations that could have presented us with life-threatening situations, other predators, falling off, you know, falling off cliffs or whatever it may be. Now, what has happened is that sympathetic nervous system is nowadays is now switched on all of the time. We have other stresses coming at us that are keeping us in the sympathetic nervous system, and it's no longer making sure that we're staying alive from another predator. It is from the bombardment of today life. The fact that we are completely connected with social media, the internet, stresses of work, career, stresses of family life, financial stresses, and all of these things are keeping us in the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight. Now, the other one, the parasympathetic nervous system, is our rest and digest. Now, this is when we are recovering. This is when we are resting. And you can imagine in today's lifestyle, there's many few people that are able to be in their parasympathetic nervous system for any prolonged period of time. So we are spending more and more time in our sympathetic nervous system. As we said, it is important, but not to be in it for any prolonged amount of time. And again, sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, we're finding ourselves in that for a large portion of the time. And Another thing that you may have heard of is the vagus nerve, and this is the message system from the gut to the brain, and it is the major contributor of the parasympathetic nervous system. So we have to look after this this vagus nerve. We have to start to harness our ability to get and kick back in to that sympathetic nervous system, because the negative impacts of being in the sympathetic nervous system for prolonged amounts of time is fatigue, poor sleep, high anxiety, weight gain, muscle loss, cognitive decline. Things such as heart disease will come up, type 2 diabetes, dementia, and particularly the links with Alzheimer's. So all of these things are heightened through us being in that sympathetic nervous system, that constant attack on the physical and mental body. Okay, so it is really important that we start to learn, and obviously it's more challenging than other times, but we need to start to learn how we can kick out of that sympathetic into the parasympathetic. And I'm not just talking to adults, career-minded people, business owners, family people who just want to be better, but also children, because you can imagine now children are a part of this society where they're being bombarded by information visually, written, sound, all sorts of ways that children are being bombarded on a daily basis and kicked into their sympathetic nervous system for prolonged amounts of time. So it's really important that we do something about it, and I can't stress the links between cognitive decline with being in your sympathetic nervous system all of the time and not learning some of the skills with nutrition to help you kick you out of that. So let's look at that nutritional area. So the things that we need to avoid initially when it comes to nutrition, and you've probably guessed it, processed and ultra processed foods. Those foods that have been created for taste, for you to get you hooked on, to stay on a shelf for long periods of time. They've gone through a large process through a factory process to stay fresh, if you want to say that, for a prolonged amount of time. And you'll find that they're probably high sugary, fast food related. Just a side note, 75% of supermarkets now, their shelves are of processed or ultra processed sourced foods, 75%, and they're only going up. They're cheap to manufacture, cheap to process and create. So they're a win-win for these big food companies, but not so good for your health. So we've got the ultra processed food, high sugary fast food aspect that is really not good for gut and brain health. We've also got poor sleep quality, so people are sleeping less, people are sleeping with less quality, irregular sleep patterns, and also with that a sedentary lifestyle. So people are working from home more, seated at desks for large portions of the day. And also we're going to look at chronic stress, the being in that stressful state for large portions of the day. So we're getting hit by many areas: the poor quality food, processed food aspect, poor sleep, sedentary lifestyle, and chronic stress, elevated, prolonged amount of stress. And all of these areas you're probably aware of are taking us into a position where we just aren't used to it, where our body and our mind doesn't want to be. Our bodies do not want to be sedentary for large portions of the day. It doesn't want to be eating processed foods. It finds that challenging. It can't operate efficiently in a high stressful, high anxiety state for prolonged amounts of time. Okay. So nutrition, how can we address this? So we want to be moving away to those singular ingredient foods. One analogy I always use with my clients is, can we come back to the foods that came out the ground, off a tree, out the ocean, or ran across the ground? Obviously, vegetarians would lose those last two, but still get a wide variety of their food and nutrients from out the ground, off a tree. But those are the four main areas. Now, there are a couple of things that I wanted to delve deeper into with your nutrition. First one is fermented foods. Now, these fermented foods are foods with live and a diverse array of live bacteria, healthy gut bacteria. So basically, bacteria that is live within food. And you'll get this within foods such as kefir, yogurt, sauerkraut, and kombucha. They will have a wide array of live, healthy bacteria that we need inside our gut. Now, this bacteria that we have in our gut currently is passed down from generation and generation from mothers. What is happening though over time, and particularly in recent years and decades, is this healthy gut microbiome has been on the decline because of the increase of processed foods, highly processed foods, and being in a stressful state. So we need to replenish. And the way that we can do that nutritionally is by getting these fermented foods in, getting these kefir natural yogurts in that have this array of natural healthy gut bacteria, and that can up the amount. When we get these numbers up, then we can start to see energy increases, focus increases, ability to process food increases, and therefore the body's ability to disperse all of those healthy nutrients around the body for us to operate at a high level. Now, obviously, bacteria need something to feed on, and that's where our prebiotics come in place. So we're getting these fermented foods in, we're getting a higher increase of healthy bacteria in. What do they need to feed on? So we need prebiotics. Now, we're going to get this from food sources such as onions, asparagus, garlic, bananas, oats, broccoli, those dark leafy greens, those foods that you're always told to eat as a child, but then kind of didn't want to eat. All right. Those things such as bananas, those colorful foods, these are going to give that healthy bacteria something to thrive on and to spawn and to grow. Okay, so first one, get that healthy bacteria in from that fermented foods. Second one, let's feed them with the prebiotics. But I always say to my clients, get color into your nutrition, particularly those dark leafy greens, onions and asparagus and garlic. These are really going to help allow those bacteria to thrive. And essentially, what we're looking to do with the gut is create a wide variety of a rainforest. You think of a rainforest, there's lots of different kinds of plants, trees in there. It's very diverse. There's lots of wildlife. That's what we're trying to do with our gut. Okay. Now, there are also some key vitamins that we can look at getting in, particularly your B6 and your B12. If we take these two vitamins, and I'll tell you where they come from in a moment, and get a healthy, consistent intake 2 to 3 times a week, we can reduce dementia risk by 25%. 25% by getting these key vitamins in, B6 and B12. Where can we get them from? Things like lentils, spinach, tofu, the good stuff, salmon, tuna, dairy, and eggs. Getting these vitamins in is going to be huge when it comes to supporting brain and gut health. And as I said, lowering that risk of dementia by up to 25%. Absolutely huge. So, taking those three things into account, the fermented foods, prebiotics, B6, B12, here are some habits that are going to really help you. When you're creating your meal, can we get 3 to 4 colors on the plate? This is naturally going to push you towards those vitamins from fruit and vegetables that are going to help to get prebiotics in. Protein within each meal that's going to look after muscle mass. Healthy fats such as nuts, seeds, fish. Again, it's going to push you towards those B6, B12, and those fermented foods. Now, it's not to say you can only eat these foods. That just isn't realistic. But what we can do is look at the 80-20 rule. And a great one that I use with my clients. Look at your week. Can 80% come from those single ingredient foods out the ground, off the tree, out the ocean, or ran across the ground? With 20% coming from, yeah, some processed foods, a dessert that you're looking forward to, a glass of wine with your meal. But just looking at the week, 80-20, 80% coming from single ingredient foods, and that 20% for those foods that you really look forward to and you enjoy. Okay. So on a nutritional standpoint, that is where I'd start. And those three main areas of fermented foods, prebiotics, and B6, B12, it's going to have a huge effect on how you feel, how you operate in the world, and the quality of life, and just lowering down the possibilities of those long-term health conditions, such as cognitive decline. Now, last thing on nutrition, I'll move on. Nice things to work towards: 30 plant-based ingredients across your week. Okay, so can you get that diversity in? It's all about diversity. Can you get loads of color, but aiming towards building that plant-based ingredients up to 30 different plant-based ingredients across your week. Last one, 2 to 3 omega-3 rich foods across the week. So as I said, 2 to 3 omega-3 rich foods across your week is going to be helpful. You're going to get this from things like your fish, salmon, tuna, eggs, that kind of thing is going to be really, really helpful. If you're vegetarian, you can always supplement with this, and that'll be an easier way to consume. You can get omega-3 supplements such as seaweed as well, so you're not having to consume anything fish based. So that's the nutritional aspect. Environmental. So let's start looking at some of these things, habits that we can start to look that is going to support gut and brain health. The first one is sleep. And as I said, sleep is one of the areas that is on the decline quality wise. Now, we all have a rhythm, a circadian rhythm, that's that internal clock. And we want to make sure that this is regular as possible. The body wants to be in that regular sleep pattern. And obviously understanding that this isn't always going to happen, but we want to work towards that as best we can. So circadian rhythm is really important. It impacts your decision making and also your memory. So again, young people who are going to sleep really late, getting up really late, different times, they're finding it very challenging to concentrate, finding it really difficult to call on memories and things like that. So getting to that sleep pattern is going to be really important. And therefore, then your quality of sleep is going to come up. One thing I like to do Monday through to Friday is set an alarm. Up early, go to bed, same time, up at the same time. But weekends, I just allow my body to wake up naturally. Usually, it's like an hour later than when I was waking up in the week. And I'm in a nice pattern. My body knows where to stand for that, and I feel better for it. Now, there are some things that we can help. First of all, the morning routine. It may sound weird, but your next night's sleep is going to be impacted down to the quality of your morning. So waking up at the same time, as I said, and look to get natural light into the eyes, or just get light into the eyes. So if it's still dark outside in the winter months, just getting some light, turn the lights on, get your circadian rhythm into play, get the brain believing and thinking that it is daytime. So if you haven't got that natural light, you can get outside, just get the lights on, get the light into your eyes as soon as you can. Also, look at hydration. A lot of people go to caffeine. This is just going to shut down your ability for your brain to start operating at the flow that it wants. So just look at hydration first and putting off that caffeine later on into the day, like 90 minutes after awakening. And then you're going to find you be in a little bit more of a flow and control of your energy levels across the day. And just basically moving. Can you move your body, whether that's around the house, going for a walk, doing whatever you need? But that morning routine of waking up at the same time, getting natural light into your eyes, if not, other light in the house, hydration, move your body. It's really going to get you into a good place for that sleep on the evening time. Then the evening routine, low light. Start getting to the brain and the eyes to realize that it is settling down time. It is night time. So bringing down the lights in the house. We don't want to be on blue light and having, artificial light coming into the eyes. It's going to make the brain think that it's still daytime, and why would it go to sleep? So bringing the lights down in the house and coming away from any artificial light that's close up to your eyes is going to be really, really beneficial. Last meal, 2 to 3 hours before bed. This is going to allow the body just to break down that food, distribute it, get rid of it. So you're going to be at much calmer levels. Okay. And then things like calm activities, reading is going to be very good, or just listening to something that you find interesting. But just setting your body up 45 minutes to 60 minutes before you go to bed with low light. You want meal 2 to 3 hours before bed, and calming activities, i.e., reading a book or just listening to something that is soothing and supportive. Okay. Now, one thing you need to realize when we're talking about sleep and why it's so important is because we have something in the brain that when we sleep and sleep in a deep REM sleep, we have something called the glymphatic system, which is basically your brain's system of detoxifying all the things that it would have picked up throughout the day, things that would have got through the blood-brain barrier, through food, toxins in the air that got into your brain. The brain will do this detoxifying process, the glymphatic system, and it's kind of like flushing out those toxins that have got through into the brain. So getting that quality sleep is so important for the brain to be able to do that. And then the last one, and when it comes to environment, is stress management. Now, as I said, we're already up at a high level of stress across our day, across our week. And bringing certain things in to help us to kick out of that and just give us that time to recover is really important. Now, there are a few things we can do to get into that parasympathetic system. One, meditation. Now, I know for a lot of people, meditation can be very challenging, but meditation can be done in many different ways. It could be guided, it could be for 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, it could be 2 minutes. But finding a meditational routine where you're able to sit, close your eyes, and just stop the brain, not stop the brain, but allow yourself the opportunity to focus on oneself, whether that's your breath, whether that is listening to some guided meditation. But this is really going to help you to bring those levels down and kick into your more parasympathetic nervous system. Journaling is a really good one for me. I like to do this in the mornings, journaling on what I'm grateful for, what is the one thing I need to do today. But finding, again, just like the meditation, a process that works best for you is going to be really supportive to get into that parasympathetic nervous system. The last one is breath work. Huge fan of breath work. Things such as the physiological sigh, where we're just taking a nice deep breath in and just breathing it out, just as if you're sighing, okay? Box breath, which is 4 breaths in, 4 breath hold, 4 breath exhale, and 4 breath exhale hold at the bottom. And just rotating that 4 times is going to be very helpful. And also the 4-7-8. 4 second in, 7 second hold, and an 8-second exhale is going to be really supportive to kick you out of the sympathetic into the parasympathetic system. So sleep, very, very important. Morning and evening routines are very important. And just having something that's going to regulate that stress management. As I said, meditation can be 60 seconds. It could be 10 minutes. It could be 5 minutes. Doesn't really matter. Journaling can be done in your way. But having something into your day that's going to allow you to stop, even if you've got children, high busy career, having something that's going to come in is going to be really helpful for you. Now, the next one is movement. And again, we're moving back to our body, what it is designed to do, what it needs to do. Now, regular activity is really important. As I said earlier, we are becoming more and more sedentary. So making sure we're having regular movements, whether it's a morning walk, evening walk, desk breaks, just making sure we're getting anything across the day that is about 60 minutes of movement. Not exercise necessarily, but just movement, getting outside, moving around the house, and moving your body. Now, we know from research and science-backed research that the best kind of training modality that we're looking at for brain health, gut health, is resistance-based training. The resistance-based training, eliciting stress through body weight or weights in a gym, machines, dumbbells, is going to help promote long-term cognitive and physical health. Now, the great thing about resistance-based training is there are so many different options and at so many different levels, depending on your ability. But if we're looking at prolonged cognitive function, physical health, resistance-based training is going to be your best bet. And we can look at doing this for anything from 2 to 3 times a week. Anything from 30 minutes to an hour, 60 minutes is going to be absolutely fantastic. Great place to start. And you can gently progress this over time. So for example, squatting for 8 reps down to a chair and standing up again, great place to start. Then progressing that to no chair, squatting, standing back up again, progressing that to a load where you might be holding a dumbbell or a backpack, but progressing that over time is going to be helpful. Cardio is important as well, particularly that zone 2, where we're working at 65 to 75% of your heart rate max. So it's steady, so you could go for a quick walk, a gentle jog. We're able to hold a conversation, but you're able to recover from it. It's nothing too taxing. That's very, very supportive as well. And you might be looking at 1 to 2 sessions a week, depending on your workload. Anything from 30 minutes, 40 minutes is going to be absolutely a nice place to start. As I said, with the resistance-based training, it's very easy to progress. So we've got weights that we can progress, reps, tempo, the variety of different movements, and the frequency. So resistance-based training for cognitive performance and physical health is the place to go to 2-3 times a week. And also looking to kick into that zone 2 cardio training area, 65, 75% of your heart rate max is also going to be very, very supportive. Now, I know there's been a lot of information there already. We've looked at nutrition, we've looked at daily habits, we looked at training. Actionable takeaways, and you can look at just putting one of these things into action is going to have a huge effect. Certainly wouldn't look at trying to do all of these things. It's just too much. But just looking at whether that's nutrition or looking at training or looking at habits is really going to be beneficial for you. So first one, prioritize whole nutrient-dense foods, particularly like fermented and prebiotic-rich options, as I've stated already. Number 2, establish consistent sleep and movement habits. Getting to bed regularly on the same time is going to help that quality of sleep come up, okay? And also make sure you're being mobile on a day-to-day basis. Third one, incorporate resistance training and stress management techniques. So resistance-based training at your level, 2 to 3 times a week is going to be helpful, really supportive. Stress management techniques like meditation, like breath work, journaling is really going to help you to create that space that you need. And then commit to small, sustainable lifestyle changes to support brain and gut health for long term. There's a lot of information there. Taking one aspect, implementing, is really going to help you to start build upon these things and create a real foundation of long-term health. So guys, hope that's been helpful. As always, I love to know feedback, love to know your thoughts. If you want to learn more about any particular area when it comes to gut health, brain health, please let me know. Drop me a comment. But I'm going to be doing a lot more of these episodes, shorter ones, longer ones. And I'd love to know if you want to learn more about any particular area when it comes to health, fitness, well-being, and personal development. Thrive is something that I'm very passionate about. I'm keeping working on these episodes, keep bringing you these hopefully these supportive information. And as always, please comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you want to hear and see in coming episodes. And I'll see you in the next one.